Good morning. Welcome to the session 2, wherein we will be discussing about recursion and loops, that is for loop and while loop. Let's start with control flows or conditional executions. So first is if statement, wherein if the condition is true, we will write a condition here, and if that condition is true, the next block of code will be executed. If not, then the else condition, that the if condition is false, the next condition will be executed. So let's see the examples for this. So let's suppose I have executed assigned x equals to 3, and now I have the condition that if x is true, that is this very condition after if x is greater than 0, then print x is a positive number. So in this code I have not taken the else block, that is the false. If it is false, what will happen? I have not taken that. So let's run this. X is a positive number. Suppose I'll assign -1 to the x, and then I will run, it will not print anything. So let's see this. We have seen this example. Now alternative statement, that is else statement. When the condition is not true, what will happen? The else block will be executed. Let's run this. X is a negative number. So I'll just tell you the flow of this particular if else statement. First, it comes to this particular thing, it checks the condition. If it is true, the next line of code, that is this one, will be executed, and it can have multiple statement as well. If the condition is not true, then it will jump to the else statement and print this particular block of code. However, there can be scenarios where you have multiple if conditions, that is nested conditions. You might have to check. So for that we have else if, and to write here we write it as elif. So chained conditional statements, or we call it as if else if ladder as well. There can be 0 or more elif parts, that is else if, we write it as elif. However, we read it as else if, however write it as elif part, and else part is optional. The keyword else if is the short form of elif, else if, and if elif sequence is a substitute for the case statements. So in other language there are some case statements or switch statements, what we call, that they check the condition and then switch. So if you are not familiar with the languages like C++ or Java, just ignore this switch or case statement, don't get confused. Let's come to Python here. If else letter. So if x is greater than y, print this statement. If x is less than y, so this is the second condition which we are putting. If x is smaller than y, this code will be executed. Else, so when it will check all the if else if conditions, if none of these are true, then it will jump directly to the else part and print this, and this is optional. So let me check if I have assigned this. No. So let me just run this code, x equals to y, and let's check what happens in this code. X is equals to y. Let me do this. So in this, x is smaller than y. So just this block of code is written below, but as I have already executed this, it will work. So conditions are checked in order. First this will be checked, then other, then this, like this. Only first two condition executes. So if this particular condition is true, then this code will be executed and rest all will be skipped, and else is optional. There is one shorthand as well, that if you don't have the else condition, then there is this short form of if, that we call as shorthand if. You can just simply write the condition colon followed by the your printf statement or whatever you want to do. Now nested condition. Say you have to check one condition, then on the else part, if that condition is not true, you have to again check some other condition. Now these are not sequential but the nested ones. Let's see, 4 and 5, x equals to 4, y equals to 5. If x double equals to y, it means it will check for the equality. If these two variables are equal, it will print x and y are equal. Else, it will again check. It will come to the second block and check x is greater than y, then print x is greater than y, or else this. So this is just the tweaking part of something which we have done here in this particular code. Again, these all are same, but depending upon your scenarios, what you want to do, you can tweak your code. I have taken the input from the user here, and once user do this like 25, now this will be executed, whether x is negative, positive, or how. So it's more. So let's skip this for now. Now, as we learned in the last class, all about the function definitions. So just to do the revision, I have put this particular if else condition in the function as a function. So def defines the function. It starts the function definition. The function name is int check, and we are passing a parameter that is a. Now a is assigned to x, and it will check the condition. The same thing which we did in the above section. Let's check for 21. 21 more. So how the code will be, the flow will be, this 21, this will be passed here. It will be assigned to x. So x is now 21. First condition will be checked whether x is less than 0. So this is not true. This code is skipped. Else if x double equals to 0, that is x equal to 0, again not true. It will jump to this x equals to 1. No, this is also not true. Then it will come to the else part, that is print more. It is printing more. Now I have the examples for each of these so that each block of code is executed. So when the number is negative, negatives change to 0 and x is set to 0 here. When x equals to 0, it will print 0. When x is 1, it will print single. So this is the example. Now fruitful functions, which we have discussed as well. So what if I want to return something as the output and I want to use that output somewhere? This can be my use case. So for that we have return statement. Compare x and y. Here again I have defined a function. It is comparing x and y. If x is double equals to y, it will return 0. If x is greater than y, it will return 1. If else, means if all of these two conditions are not true, then it will return -1. So let's see. Compare 4 and 5. So now 4 is less than 5. So this condition will not be true. This will not be true. So it will print -1. Let's run this. Yeah. Let me do the reverse. 5 and 4. It is returning me 1. And let's check with the same value 6 and 6. And it is returning me 0. So when you want to use that particular output of any function somewhere, you can use this return function. Coming to recursions, loops or iterations. So in Python, there are two loops, that is for and while. In other languages, there are more loops like do while, which is not at all there in the Python. So for Python users, I would say just you can forget that do while using Python. For loop is used for iterating over sequence, that is either list, tuple, dictionary. So these we will learn in the next session. For now, we know these strings which we already have learned. So we will take the example of a string. So whenever you want to iterate over something, you will use for loop here. So I have a word cat. For w in words, print w dot upper. This is a function, or not function, this is a method. So generally function, method, these are used interchangeably. However, these are some different things. So upper is a method. So I am calling upper over this particular word. Let's see what happens when I run this code. You can see that it is, for loop is iterating over this word, that is cat. For each character, it is printing the character and the uppercase of the same. So this is the example of for loop. Here for loop is somewhat different from other languages like C or Java, where it gives ability to define both iteration step and halting condition. So this is iteration iteration step and halting condition. Python's for loop statement iterate over the items of any sequence. So if you know the other languages, this is for you. If you don't know, just skip that. If you need to iterate over again the numbers, built-in function range is there is one function, that is range. If you want to iterate over numbers, let's see the example. For I in range 4, print hello. Let me run this. Now it is running hello and printing hello for the it is running this particular code of block of code and then printing 4 times hello. But just let me show you one thing, something weird. If you will directly print range 4, it will just give you 0 to 1. It will not print from 0 to 1. And just for terminologies, if you are just incrementing something, like I am incrementing x by 1, it is called increment. If you are just decreasing that, that is called decrement. While programming, you will hear these kind of terms. Coming to the for loop. Now for loop is something different, wherein you are defining these the increment and the variable upfront. Coming to for loop, sorry, coming to while loop. While loop executes a particular block of code until any particular condition is true. So here, this while loop will be executed till n is greater than 0. I have assigned n equals to 5 and x equals to 1. Let's see when I run the code what happens. It is printing this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how the code will be executed? The very first time it will come, it will check. Now n is 5, n is greater than 0, print n. It is printing 5. Now it is decrementing the value of n to 4, that is n minus 1. Again it will come to this, it will check the condition. Now n is 4, 4 is greater than 0. Again it will print 4 and it will come to this. So this will happen till 1. When it will print 1, n will be again decremented to 0. It will go back, this condition will be checked whether n is greater than 0 or not. So now the value of n is, after this printing 1, the value is 0 and this condition is not true. So it will just execute the next statement if there is any, or else will exit this file while loop. So this is how while loop works. Python don't have inbuilt do while loop. This we have already discussed. Talking about the break statements. The break statement breaks out the innermost enclosing. So wherever you encounter any break, the complete loop it will exit the loop. So let's check. For I in range 4, if I double equals to 2, that is I equals to 2, it will break, or else it will print hello for the other things. So let's check. So now it is printing hello for the 0th and 1. When I equals to 2, it is just breaking the for loop. This we have already seen. Talking about continue statement, the continue statement continues with the next iteration of the loop. So let's do one thing. Yes. So now you can see that it has again printed one continue. So it has skipped the part where it was equals to 2 and then executed it when it was again incremented. The continue statement continues with the next iteration of the loop. For I in range 2 to 10, if I divided by 2 double equals to 0, that is I is a even number, it will print I an even number and then continue to the next statement. Let me run this. So now what it is doing when uh, suppose it is 2, 2 2 divided by 2, that is 1, the remainder is 0, so it will print 2 is an even number and continue to the next loop, that is 3. When I becomes 3, 3 divided by 2, the remainder will come as 1, so it will print odd number here, the last statement. So you can notice that when this was the condition was true, it continued, means it just iterated over the next loop, it skipped the other statements. Let's check what if this continue was removed or not there. Let me run this. So you can notice that it is coming to the this particular code, block of code every time, and printing 2 is odd number as well here. So this is the scenario you have where you have to use the continue statement.